Is there any driver that you are keeping an eye on in any of the top series? Is there a driver that you really like to watch?
I got to say, I've enjoyed watching the guy that can is dominating on the road courses in the
Shane
NASCAR.
Van Gisbergen,
Uh-huh.
SVG.
Yeah.
It's just utterly amazing because yeah, I've raced, and at this day and age to be so much better. It's just to me is mind boggling because
His rookie
he's
year, he
beaten.
won 5 races.
Yeah, and it's not like he's jumped into some series that it's like, well, this is a bunch of kids or something, I mean, he's going against the best, and it's like to me, it's utterly amazing. To me, that's just I can't comprehend it how he can be that much better. And I wish him well. I hope he can, keep getting better, which he will in the ovals. And that's one thing I'll enjoy watching because the guy's got a great personality, and I think he respects people on the
Mhm.
track because I've watched him, work hard to pass people where he could have easily moved them, and a lot of people don't give him the same respect back. But that's one thing that I thought is, there's one thing that's adding to a little bit to the sport. It's him.
Yeah, and you know what else? He's definitely the best driver from out in Australia, although he's originally from New Zealand, since Marcus Ambrose. And I think Marcus Ambrose, I think, was the precedent for Australian drivers being able to show in the States that they can race and win. Although in Ambrose's case, he only won on the road courses and would have had dozens of wins in like Watkins Glen and Montreal for either Cup or Xfinity if they turned out the way that SVG is now performing. But yeah, SVG is going to be really awesome in the years to come. And he's won more than Marcus, but I he's going to win an oval. I predict it.
I think he's a future champion. Mark my word.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just whatever talent he's got because, it's not easy. There's, you know, the road racers that helped, the NASCAR guys in the beginning when they started going to road racing, they had a little bit of an advantage, but nothing like that now, So it's to me, it's like it's just crazy, and I just think it's cool.
He's topped Ron Fellows and Boris Said and a few other road specialists that were always factors for the win. But yeah, I don't think anyone's going to top SVG as the best road course racer in the Cup Series and Xfinity Series at this point.
There's two more crazy names that you brought up. Fellows and Boris said. Boris said was, when I first went to drive for Ernie, Boris was part of that team, through
Mhm.
SEMO. So, yeah, that guy is crazy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And one other driver that is also good on road courses that you can also call a little crazy, and I'm saying this with mixed feelings, Paul Tracy.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah,
no Paul
yeah.
Tracy.
Yeah, he was always good with the Indy cars and always good with, you know, his Indianapolis 500s, although he arguably won one depending on how you interpret it. And then he showed some skill in the stock cars, in my opinion, with SRX, but got overshadowed by all the accidents he found himself in. And then he picked off Ken Schrader to the point where the series booted him. Schrader put them in that spot of it's either me or Paul Tracy, and SRX was like, "Bye bye, Paul." you know.
Yeah, he was definitely finding himself in a lot of bad spots for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I've met Paul before. He's off the track. He's a very nice guy, but he can be his own worst enemy sometimes. You
And
know.
that back when Boris was helping us, he was running in that Trans Am, and that Trans Am series back then was really tough. Like you said, Ron Fellows and Boris, and there was a lot of heavy hitters racing in there. That was a fun series to watch back then too, because there's a lot of talent.
Yeah, even to this day, when the series got revived, you have these drivers that have begun in Trans Am and gone on to NASCAR, or they've decided to go to Trans Am when they decided that NASCAR wasn't working for them anymore. Paul Menard's the Trans Am champion this year, if you remember, and
Yeah.
and then you had like Then you have there's one other driver who went over from NASCAR to Trans Am or the other way around. Oh, Connor Gilles. Connor Gilles.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I saw Connor race in the streets in Nashville in the TA2 race, I believe, in 2021. And I didn't know when I looked at his name in the scoreboard that he was a future NASCAR great, at the
Yeah.
moment, and I remember that weekend in Nashville was that weekend where Marcus Ericsson pulled off that improbable victory after the luncheon win, which I witnessed, and I remember watching it and being
Really?
like, "Whoa, holy cow." And then I saw the wing break off and I was like, "Yeah, his goose is cooked." He came to the pits and then 86 laps later or so, the I believe 76 or 86 laps later, the race ended and the red car went past me, which was Marcus Ericsson. And I was like, wait, was that the car that crashed earlier? Holy cow. I couldn't argue against the win. Yeah, so just a lot of good memories. Do you have any final thoughts on your racing career?
I just feel fortunate to be able to chase my dreams, and I've always felt that, when I grew up racing on tracks around here, that there was a lot of guys that I felt, deserved an opportunity, and you just got to appreciate having some of those opportunities. I mean, I got to meet a lot of tremendous people, great people, and enjoyed my time through the racing, going through all those different levels, and I got to meet Boris and just all kinds of fun, and live life that you just sometimes you just don't know is there, and get to chase your dream and do what you can. So I've always been grateful for all those opportunities, and to have the friends that I gained in racing. So yeah, that's just been my highlight about racing. It just makes me happy to be able to live. And I'm a competitive guy. I've always, I worked probably sometimes and just to my own detriment, just staying in a race shop, just keep working, working, working. And sometimes I didn't take time to enjoy stuff, but still enjoyed all the people and time that I had.
Great to hear. Great to hear. What impact do you want to leave on race fans?
I always appreciated him. I always did. I never, if somebody asked for an autograph or something, I always wanted to be able to share something, and be able to be, yeah, I enjoyed, the part of racing at a short track level was, to me, I liked, you let the fans down into the pits afterwards, and you can interact with them, and to me that just made me feel good, because you get to see the little kid that can run up and get an autograph and get a hero card, and I always love that part of racing, to be able to be close to people at that time. In the NASCAR, you had your autograph sessions and stuff, which was good. But I always liked it when the people could come down and see the cars. They could touch them, feel them, and look at them. And I always loved that part of it, and how the fans enjoyed, even if it was late in the night, they always wanted to come down and see drivers. And that part I thought was really cool.
That's great. That's great to hear. So everybody, we'd like to thank Bryan for appearing on SFM. But before we close out, I'd like to give Josh an opportunity to lead us in a tribute to Greg Biffle, who lost his life last week from a horrible plane accident, and he will be sadly missed. Feel free, Josh.
Yeah, just I've met Greg Biffle a couple of times, and just a very, very down to earth guy, and feel devastated and crushed for his family and his friends and the other 6 or 7 people that were on that plane. Aviation has it's a really good thing, but those smaller planes can have their issues, and I'm just crushed. I'm devastated by the loss of Greg Biffle. He was definitely one of my favorite drivers to root for when I first started watching NASCAR.
Yep. In my case, I met Greg once at a cup race in 2009 at Phoenix, and sadly, I didn't get a photo with him. But what's more important is I got to meet him, and he came across to me as a very chill person and very friendly and likable. he had a sense of humor that you didn't usually see in him when he was at the racetrack, which he often shared in his press conferences or when he would laugh off a feud like with Boris said that one year, and then and
Yeah,
it was very sad to lose Greg. I was hoping to the end that he and the others would survive, but sadly it didn't happen. So, a tragic accident and someone who will be badly missed in the NASCAR community.
yeah. Brian, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I raced with Greg in the truck series when I started. That's where he started too. So, we were competitors and I know who he was. We didn't hang out together and stuff, but there wasn't a lot of drivers back then. And yeah, fantastic person. We all worked hard to get there. He didn't bring in money and buy a ride. He worked hard to get there. And yeah, I always admired the people that did that and got there, and Greg was one of those guys, and those people, you always got the feeling that they appreciated what they got when they got there, so, and stayed humble. And yeah, I agree, it's just a terrible loss, like you said, with his family, and it's just terrible. And here's a guy that was going out after that hurricane and flying out and delivering supplies to people that were stranded. And yeah, sometimes it's hard to understand, and it's a terrible loss.
Yeah, we wish the best for you, for the Biffle family, and for all who supported and loved him. And we wish the NASCAR community the best of luck as they move forward from the unfortunate events. Yeah, I'm tearing up a bit just thinking about it. But yeah, Greg was great, and we thank everybody for tuning in. We thank Bryan Reffner for appearing on SFM, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And we wish everyone the best on SFM.